To the No Cap Sports Show podcast, where sports and combos collide. Your host, Fredo, Mo Money, Jay Will, Mills Lane, and Kobe, the Cobra Turner. Authentic, unapologetic, no edits, no cap. Let the convo begin.
Sports Show podcast where sports and convos collide. I am your host, Fredo.
I'm your host, Mo Money.
I'm your host, Mills Lane.
And I'm your host, the Cobra.
Man, how y'all doing today? What's going on, group?
Kobe, why you always come up? I'm your host.
That's right. That's what, you know.
I'm your host.
I mean, yeah, Kobe, let's try it again. Kobe, I mean, come on, give us some enthusiasm or something, bro.
Hey, look, you know, it's just a little smoothed out R&B style, you know what I'm saying?
I think that's what it is.
Smoothed out on the R&B tip.
Quiet, hey, look, it's 8 o'clock. Quiet storm about to come
on. I'll be unsure over here.
I'm your host, the Cobra.
Next week we should all do somebody else's welcome. I'm gonna be Kobe.
I can be Mo. Yeah, that's easy.
Yeah. All right, Kobe, do me, Kobe, and don't let me come across this screen.
No, I got to study first.
Hey, look here, Kobe. I would never go against you again, man. When it comes to Caitlin Clark, man. She is man. She is must see TV, man. Oh my gosh. I mean, she giving me straight Larry Bird vibes, and I mean, man.
Yeah, I see.
She's a machine.
Yeah, I see the female Steph Curry out there when I watch.
Yeah,
it, you know, yeah, she's an exceptional talent. I swear, man. I haven't seen anything like her, and I know when Nancy Lieberman was talking to that team in the locker room, Nancy Lieberman is a legend.
She is.
Oh man, she said, "I've never seen nothing like you."
Yeah. I couldn't enjoy the last game because I lost the bet, so I was rooting for her ass to lose. I couldn't. Every time she missed a shot, I was like, "Hell yeah, let's go LSU, let's go!" But no.
Yeah. And I appreciate you all's contribution to the Kobe Turner Trust Fund.
Hey, I saw that tomfoolery going on in the group text. I was like, nope, you won't get me.
Not the Kobe Turner Trust Fund, right?
Yeah,
hey man, it was good to contribute, man. We appreciate you, champ. But yeah, I go ahead and take heed next time, man.
For sure.
You check her out, Mills.
Yeah, I saw her.
You wasn't impressed.
Yeah, you right. What's going on over there?
Oh, I mean, she good.
Okay. Mills came across talented. I used to put in that work back then as well. So
talented, no fear. I like those types of players. She good. She bad.
You was talking about me. Where's your enthusiasm?
I mean, because I'm so tired of hearing her name and seeing those memes, and I was one that I reposted the meme, like, you know.
No,
I'm just over it, you know.
Okay, let's talk about it, Mills. What you think about that?
Yeah,
I mean, she got the way she gave, you know, and according to them, they good, so we should be good. However, it's never the players; it's always the media.
Thank you.
Watch. 100%. I was sitting at home and I was like, the tone of this game and what I'm hearing, right?
Right.
This tipped me off, and I said, this about to go left. Rebecca Lobo, after the ref called a tech on Caitlin, was like, she said nothing. Like, she was mad. She said nothing. And I was like, maybe she didn't, but your passion in that nothing is like, I'm pulling for Caitlyn. Don't you ever say anything bad about Caitlyn. And I was like, this starting to look, this starting to look a little colorful, And by colorful, I mean black and white. It really started to kind of go down. I was like, this about to go left. You got a predominantly white team versus a predominantly black team. The tone of what they pissed me off. Like, it wasn't a game. It's just sometimes you just start hearing this tone in there, and I'm like, who you home teaming for? So then for them, it was nothing was ever fair because Caitlyn, oh my God, you can't do that to Caitlyn. That's what I heard. They ain't say all that.
Yeah.
Right.
So it took a turn, but shout out to Jasmine Carson.
Jasmine Carson came off that bench.
I might make her a meme and not a meme, but a poster.
Yeah.
For pulling, helping them pull away in the first, making it so difficult for them to come back. And then Alexis, I don't know Alexis' last name.
Alexis Moore.
Jasmine in the
Alexis Morris.
So shout out to LSU.
I thought, me personally, now let me ask you guys this. When they do the player of the game, is it the player of the whole entire tournament or is it specific to that game? Because if it was specific to that game, I thought Jasmine Carson should have gotten it. I mean, no disrespect to Angel, because she's everything is advertised. But I thought Jasmine Carson should have got that, man, because without her, like I said, because I think Angel and the young lady Morris were on the bench because I think they had 2 fouls in the first half. But Carson was just lighting it up. I think she had like 21 first half points and stuff like that, man. So she kept them in the game, and like I said, they had a lead because of her.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Kobe. I think it's the tournament. I don't think it's just that game.
Okay.
As I understood it, it's the MOP of the Final Four.
Yeah, the Final Four. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's because but then too, Fred, you got to look at it. If it wasn't for Angel Reese and Morris, Carson wouldn't have got off, because that was part of Iowa's strategy. That they kind of doubled, the post or whatever. She wouldn't have got them shots like that if they weren't double teaming Angel Reese down low, and applying that pressure. First of all, I want to shout out women's basketball, because that game generated more viewership than the Super Bowl. I don't know if people know that. Yes. So it was fire. The referees tried to, control the narrative.
Trash.
Yeah, they were trash. Either you gonna let them play or you not. You can't come in and after somebody else did something, now you trying to get a makeup call that messes up the flow of the game. Just let them play. Both teams are physical. But as far as you can't see me and all that, man, if it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander.
Thank you.
So, if you can do it, then you got to be able to take it back. It's the same thing with Patrick Beverly when he do the too small, or Russell Westbrook when he rocking the baby. Sometimes you rocking the baby, sometimes you get rocked. That's sports. You just get back at it. But again, we sensationalized it because of Angel Reese's appearance, where she's playing, who she's playing for, and what she stand on. So I personally didn't appreciate it because it was nothing said when Caitlin Clark disrespected South Carolina, or when she disrespected the players in Louisville and said, you can't see me. So it is what it is, but we know what it is.
Yeah, just to piggyback off what Mo said, I watched the women's games more than I did the men's side of the tournament this year. I mean, because the women's tournament was lights out. I mean, every single game was must-see TV, and then the superstars definitely shined. 2 of my 3 favorite players was in the championship, Caitlyn and Angel. And then, of course, AZ Fudd, unfortunately, didn't make it that far. But, hey, I enjoyed it. I kicked my feet up and enjoyed it. And to what Mills said earlier, it wasn't the players. It wasn't Caitlin Clark that had an issue.
Thank you.
With the "you can't see me" gesture. It was the media trying to make something of what wasn't even there. Caitlin Clark was interviewed. She said she didn't even see it when it happened. She was so focused on the game, she didn't see it real time. But she was like, I don't have an issue with it. You know, I mean, it's just something that players do now. You know, it's all basketball is all about trends. You know, at one time you make a basket, they was bankhead bouncing. You know what I mean? Now, you know, now is you can't see me, so they just follow the trends. You know.
Yeah.
That is so true. I'm actually remembering that. But another thing I want to say is how disappointed I am. Expectedly, though, this wasn't a shock, but how all of the white media and the male media were so disrespectful to Angel Reese. And a lot of people, before they even saw, you know, they only watched that game. So they never knew anything about Caitlin doing this or doing the same thing,
Right.
or waving off the player for South Carolina. So they, you know, just saying, shoot that three. We know you can't, you know, go ahead and do it, you know.
Right.
And I mean, but the disrespect, like, I'm so sick of it for Black women. Like, why? Like, why y'all hate us so much? You know what I'm saying? Like, and at this point, you know, Angel Reese and with the NIL deals, they know that's their moneymaker now. So she gonna keep running her mouth because that's her moneymaker. But just the disrespect that, you know, I mean, like cursing them and calling them idiots and
Keith Olbermann.
Keith Olbermann, like,
and the dude from Barstool Sports.
Y'all are jumping out there. You know, we used to call it being loud and wrong. You know what I'm saying? You don't even know. You ain't even watch 2 games to know that you can put 2 and 2 together, you know, and just, I mean, why would you jump out there and disrespect a 20-year-old girl? Like, just,
Yeah, it was bad. It was definitely disrespectful. Like I said, I'm glad people, celebrities like Shaq jumped in on Angel Reese's behalf, and then shout out to Gilly and Wallow as well, because like I said, they got a partnership with Barstool Sports, and the president had tweeted or said something.
Oh, he was real.
Yeah, he jumped out there, and they said, no, they don't. You know, they said, no, they don't represent and they don't co-sign with him whatsoever, and they don't work for him. They just got a licensing deal with that group. So, yeah, man, it was crazy, man. It was unnecessary. Trash talk happens in sports, period. You can't see me, and you know what, and waving that person off, you know what I'm saying, daring them to shoot. It's okay. This is not a Caitlin versus Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese. Like you said, Mills, the media, you know what I'm saying, made more of this, you know what I'm saying, than it really was. And that's all it was. It's just, these are 2 great basketball players. In terms of Caitlin Clark, she's a generational talent.
Absolutely.
He's a generational talent, man. Like I said, definitely shout out to LSU for winning that championship, man. But man, I was just laying eyes on Caitlin Clark. I was like, I haven't seen this. I've been looking at basketball for quite some time in my life. I ain't seen this. This is a machine. I don't know.
Her stop and pop is out of this world.
Yeah.
Like, I just think about now. Of course, now I never had no stop and pop. But it would take me so long to get the ball up and then to shoot it. I mean, you don't know when she is Steph Curry. Like, she just, you can literally just plant her foot and just pop it. And not, like, God, you didn't even get set. Like, you just throw it up there.
You know what, Mills? And you're absolutely right. Her stop and pop is just crazy. But let me tell you something. Her basketball IQ is on 1 million.
Yeah.
I mean, she can beat you, and Kobe said it. She can beat you in so many ways. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, she don't even, you know. I mean, she can pass the ball. I mean, she definitely understands the game, man. But like I said, Angel Reese, like I said, she brought it with her physicality. I love her attitude, man. I love her attitude. I love the way she goes hard, and you know what I'm saying, and she speaks her mind, man. I respect that, and I think this right here brought more light to women's college basketball from a positive aspect going forward, man. Yeah, and I'm tuned in.
Yeah, because you're right. I've been watching more. That's why when I did the men's bracket, I didn't really know a lot of teams because some of them been suspect all year. But the women's game, I've been pretty dialed in. I'm a homer, so South Carolina was dominating, so I tuned in. And the more I tuned in, the more I was watching other, women play, and they're good over there.
Can I ask you guys something right quick?
What's up, bro?
To go back to South Carolina versus Iowa, and you guys know how I feel about Don Staley. I love me some Don Staley, man. I'm a
Right.
huge fan of her. I've always been a fan of hers ever since she was at Virginia. Kobe, from a coaching standpoint, would it looking at that game, is it something that you know what I'm saying? Is it something or a scheme or what have you that she did, you know what I'm saying, that you like, I would have did this, you know what I'm saying? Because I was thinking that she could have, like I said, trapped more, you know what I'm saying, or what have in terms of Caitlin and be like, you know what, hey, I'm just gonna let everybody else beat me. Or there was no physicality, you know what I'm saying? There was, I didn't see that.
Yeah, so from my vantage point, Don Staley didn't coach a good game. She didn't make the proper adjustment. So South Carolina had an obvious size advantage, right?
Right.
And she had a player out there on the court that was afraid to shoot the ball, that just wouldn't shoot. So you had 5 defenders guarding 4, essentially, and if I'm the coach in that situation, I'm telling her to shoot the ball. You got to make the defense play you honestly. And look, if they don't, guess what? You're so big, you were getting 2 and 3 offensive rebounds every trip down the floor. But just shoot the ball. But her not shooting, it really put a hamper on what they could do, because they could have been scoring on all those possessions.
Right.
And whatever Caitlin Clark did, she would have put on the show, but it wouldn't have translated into a W. It wouldn't have translated to the win. Use your size to your advantage, and they didn't do it. Just put the ball up. You're going to get the offensive rebound because they didn't have the athletes and they didn't have the size to contend with South Carolina's front court. And Don Staley just never made that adjustment. And defensively, look, Caitlin Clark seen everything thrown at her, everything in the book thrown at her all season long. So I don't think it's too many adjustments they could have made on the defensive end. Caitlin Clark was going to do what she do. You know what I mean? LSU did a great job of making her work for what she got, and she didn't shoot a great field goal percentage. She still got a 30+, but she didn't shoot well from the field. And that's because they use their athletes. Like, just make it hard for her. They got length, they got athleticism. Just put a hand in her face and you live with the results. Right. But and they took they definitely watched that game against South Carolina and saw how South Carolina didn't utilize their size. But guess what LSU did? They pounded them. They took it right to the rack because they knew there was nobody to give them any resistance going to the basket or going back up strong. And I mean, to me, the game was over from the start.
Yeah. I like to see, like I said, I would like to see Don go in that transfer portal, get a couple of shooters to pretty much spread that floor out, man. So this type of stuff won't happen. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Again, I mean, Zia Cook, I'm not worried about her. She's a straight baller. She was giving it to him left and right. But yeah, she really didn't have no help. Like I said, and then I know their All-American was in foul trouble. So yeah, that was an issue right there. But let me ask you guys this.
What's her name? Cardoza. Right,
mm-hmm. That's 7.
They could have kept feeding her. She could not be stopped. At one point, she was like 8 for 8 from the field.
Yeah,
not
to mention, do with that?
I watch a lot of South Carolina basketball. Don Staley has a great motion offense. That a couple sets that she'll run against set teams. She ran against LSU. You can go look at the tape.
I saw that.
She didn't employ that motion offense. Had she employed the motion offense, it would have took that shooter off the mark and put them running on the baseline. And then also you could have ran more pick and roll up top to expose their slow, because their bigs are slow. From
you're right, Mo.
So you could have either got the switch or you could have went back to the post whenever they didn't switch. So it was a lot of things that Don Staley just didn't do. But that came from, I would say, professional arrogance, because on paper, South Carolina was the better team. So she was thinking, I got the better bench, I got the better players. Caitlin Clark is Caitlin Clark, but we're gonna pull out anyway. This is what we do. We 34-0. So that's what I think. That's what happened, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, 100%, Mo. I agree with that 100%.
Hey, Mills, let me ask you this: should LSU decline the White House invitation?
Well, I think the invitation officially came today. I think Joe Biden, said he wanted to have both of the winning teams. No, I just think that Jill needs to understand she screwed this one up. You just made a foible, you made a faux pas, you made and not thinking, right? Just not thinking, not understanding the culture. This all we gonna get along, and it's not. You're not dialed in as much as you should be. And I love Jill Biden. She made a critical error. Should they go? Yeah, I think they should go and take. That's a privilege.
Mhm.
She needs to keep her mouth shut. She'll be
Pretty
looking like a
Stephen
Stephen King novel character.
Say that with
Look-
malice, though. She need to keep her
look-
mouth shut. She ain't got to keep her mouth shut. She just said she made a mistake. She made an
Yeah.
error at a very critical time when the streets was talking, and she got fried for it.
Yeah, we
People
hold
get fried
folks
for sometimes
accountable
you
for
say
making mistakes. She need to be held
Hey,
accountable.
Yeah, because that was a huge mistake, man.
Hey,
Because
Mills,
you're right, it's
know
all types of all
I would-
types of thoughts going in people's mind and stuff like
Yeah.
that, or what have you, man. Just
Definitely ain't help
There's
Joe.
never been a runner. There's
right
never
about that,
been a
Mills.
runner up offered an invitation to the White House. Never in the
Yeah.
history of
White House.
since they've
visits.
been since they've
White
been
House
inviting to It's
No,
just
I
never happened.
agree.
I have to agree with the fellas on this one. I would say that if this was her first time in the Oval Office,
right,
she been in there for about 11 years now.
right.
She know the protocol.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I can't give you a pass. You been in the White House about 11 years.
From the
You know,
outside looking in, it was looking like I really wanted Iowa to win. I wanted to. So you know what? I'm gonna invite them anyway.
I'm just saying,
We need to get some balance in the White House. I don't know if I can deal with what's about to come through.
You know what this reminds me of? You remember when Obama was in office and what's the black guy named Gates that does the ancestry shows when he was trying to go home and the cops thought he was breaking in his own house.
Oh,
And so
shit.
to make it all better, kumbaya, Obama was like, well, I'm gonna invite you and the white cop and we're gonna have a beer at the White House. And I was like, Obama, like, no. But he did. But that's what it reminded me of. Like, we're not gonna kumbaya this. Like, no, we're not gonna. They lost and they don't get to come,
No.
That's it, and
Join
that's the
regular
problem. And
tour,
I
the regular
I
folk.
didn't mean to cut you off, back. No, go ahead. I ain't mean to cut you off, Mills. I'm sorry.
I'm done.
Okay, yeah, I have a problem with society, man. This is a
Society as a whole.
it's like
Trash.
it's a participation trophy type of society. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody got to acknowledge the run-ups. No, this is about wins and losses. And losses aren't bad. You can learn a lot from losses. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's like you got to make everybody feel better or what have you just because you participated. No, it's okay. No,
Yeah.
it's not their time.
Yeah.
It's not their time. You play to win the game. That's it.
I blame Oprah, man. She giving everybody cars. That's where they come from.
Correction. Oprah didn't give anybody. See, I think that's what people think. Oprah give, when they give away stuff, that ain't Oprah. That ain't her money. That's those people saying
That's
we're
the
gonna
company.
capitalize off Oprah name,
Oh.
and we're, Chevrolet or whoever did those cars, they gave the cars away.
Yeah.
People never
Smart.
think about that.
Yeah, she don't do that herself. Yeah, she
No.
don't do that herself.
She's not a philanthropist.
She
She is.
That's a smart.
You know how that
business.
go, Mo.
Let me make them think. Nah, she ain't
You
paying
get a
out of
car.
pocket.
Right.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the men's tournament, man?
God.
This is one of the best. This was one of the best men's tournament in terms of from an upset standpoint. But I will tell you that Final Four was nothing to be desired, especially the championship game. It's like San Diego State. They're in the weight room too much. Them some dang on bodybuilders up in there, man. I'm like, Slim, y'all should be playing football. What y'all? Who is your trainer, man? God damn, got bilaterals and bisexuals and stuff like that, man. And you out there on the daggone basketball court. But yeah, what's your thoughts about that game or the tournament itself?
Well, I was impressed with UConn. UConn had an impressive run through the tournament. I didn't pay much attention to them in the regular season. One of my friends had them in the championship when he picked his bracket. I was like, UConn. And then once I started watching them play, just they're well coached. They have athletes, they have size, they have a superstar on the roster. I mean, they just had the perfect storm, and they clicked at the right time. I mean, they won every single tournament game by double figures. I mean, I don't care who they played in the championship, they was gonna smash them because they were just playing at a level where they were not going to be beat. And then those schools like San Diego State, or schools that was formerly known as the mid majors, a lot of times they lose to schools like UConn's because for some reason they don't have a lot of size. You know what I mean? Once you get to the front court, they don't have the 7-footers and the 6'11s. And if they do, they might have one that may be okay. But like UConn, they can sit one 6'11", 7-footer down and bring in another one. And to me, that was the difference. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this was Sports and Combos Collide, so I'm gonna keep it real. Man, I ain't watching. After watching the women play the night before, I knew UConn was gonna beat them by at least 2 field goals. I mean, 2 touchdowns.
The first half of it.
You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, it was just between the center and then Hawkins on the wing. It was nothing San Diego State could do to match that. It came on at 9:20. Y'all need to stop that BS too.
Oh yeah, that's too late.
Come on, man. I've been saying that since I was little, but the game used to come on Sunday, I believe. Like when Team Cleveland won, it was on a Sunday. It wasn't on Monday.
Was it?
I believe
it's always been Monday night, Mo.
It always been Monday.
It's always been Monday night.
It's always been Monday. Yeah.
Oh man, it felt like a Sunday. But
I was on the lead.
You know what I'm saying?
TV was on the lead.
Maybe I don't know, but I mean, it just didn't have the same zest. I mean, the upsets were great, but like Kobe said, whenever they ran up against a juggernaut, I would have rather seen them go up against another juggernaut in that situation. I just didn't feel like San Diego State had the horses. But the tournament as a whole, I felt like this just is a microcosm of what happens with the NIL deals and the one and dones, because most of the teams that were able to move on were teams. They had upperclassmen, they had been in the tournaments prior to that, and then so their experience won out. That's why Michigan State stays in the Sweet 16, because if you look at their roster, it's usually comprised of guys that are in their junior and senior season, and they continue to rise. And he has a program, unlike John Calipari, that's continually turning over his starting fives. So that's what I look at it as. And I'll be honest, I got to be real with you. Going forward, as long as the women game continue to be the way it is, I will continue to watch the women's bracket more than the men, and that's just me.
Yeah, and shout out to Hawkins, being a Maryland native and also Angels Reed's cousin.
Wow.
They grew up together. So shout out to them and their family. I know they're celebrating and so proud of what their family has achieved. So big shout out to them.
Absolutely. Mills, did you check out the men's tournament? Was you impressed?
I mean, I was surprised. I mean, my brackets always get busted, if not night 1, night 2. But I didn't watch any UConn this year. And I'm afraid to say and ask this question, but it is what it is. Right. Are they still in the Big East?
Yes. They came back to the Big East. Yeah, they were. Yep, you're right.
All right. So I heard maybe before the Sweet 16, one of the comments, it might have been Kenny Smith gave a compliment to UConn. Was like, I see UConn going far. I'm like, UConn? The Big East, but the Big East always got some hitters, but I don't watch them during the year. So I knew nothing. Yeah. I knew nothing. I didn't even know who their coach was a Hurley. I knew nothing.
Play for Seton Hall.
So, but they put together, their starting five. They rock the whole time. And again, like Kobe said, beating teams in double figures the entire time. I would have never seen that. What Mo said about Michigan State there, I hate that I bet against them this year on my bracket. Right. But again, I hadn't followed them, and I thought Tom Izzo was on his way out, just timed out. Not that he needed to, but just on his way to retire or something. But I didn't hear nothing about Michigan State all year, so I bet against them. I thought my biggest problem was going to be betting against Purdue, but I was like, oh, I'm good. So, I mean, it was good, but again, I only caught the women.
Yeah, the women was just that much more exciting
in the end. And the only reason I didn't watch the Iowa South Carolina game, I watched the Virginia Tech LSU game, but I was in a car accident Friday, and I was out. I was tired. I was like, I can't do it. I'm looking at it, next stiff, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
But everything's good. But I just couldn't stay up for it. So I watched everything I saw was on replay. But they are exciting. I was excited to see them. Like you said, the men's game was too late. The women's game was too early.
There's no way in the world they should have been playing at 3:30 on a Sunday. That should have been the prime time.
Like it was like 2:30.
That's disrespectful.
The
networks, they messed that up big time.
All the time.
It's all common sense. I don't
They
get
did
that.
the same thing to the WNBA. Remember, they played early as hell.
I don't get that, man. I don't get it. You need ratings, and then this is what you do.
Yeah. And speaking about respect, just to piggyback off what Mill says, a lot of people haven't been giving UConn their proper respect because, even though UConn was a representative in the Final Four, all the commentators and all the basketball experts saying there's no blue bloods left. But UConn is the bluest of the blue bloods. If you look at at least our era.
Thank you.
I mean, they got 5 chips.
And
been to six championship games.
Yeah.
5 out of 6.
Yeah.
And
nobody else can say that.
And let me piggyback off that.
When they won in 2015-16.
It was the point guard. Kevin Ollie.
Yeah, play with AI,
Yep. So, the fact of the matter, too, is the Big East is back, guys. Like I said, with Georgetown getting Cooley and Patino is at St. John's and Connecticut winning. I mean,
hold up, Fredo. Hold up. Let's just
gotta put a team
Let's just see how this play out first. The Big East, UConn is back, but let's not say the Big East back yet.
Only thing we need is Syracuse need to come back home. Just bring Syracuse, come back home. That's it. There was nowhere in the world you should be in the ACC. I don't understand that at all.
The ACC mad too. They got to go to Syracuse in January. Nobody want to go up there in January.
Yeah, come back to the Big East, man. Somebody got to make that happen. Yeah. But it is what it is, guys. Hey, let me ask you guys this, right? So there's been a lot of criticism of Kyrie Irving, right? Being as though he was traded to Dallas. And basically, a lot of people taking shots at him, saying that it's his fault why Dallas is not in, not in the playoffs or not playing in the play-in tournament and stuff like that. And, just his past criticism, whether it was the Brooklyn Nets and that he can't play with, he couldn't play with KD, now he can't play with Luka. What are your thoughts about that, man? Me personally, in my opinion, I don't think he's to blame in this at all. I mean, I think it's more of and Mo said this when they got traded. He said they don't have no defensive players. Who gonna stop who at the end of the day? And they don't have, they gave up defensive players in that trade. And then not only that, you got to look at Luka, and then you're right, you got to look at the actual, roster itself. Kyrie doesn't have anything to do with it, but what are you guys thoughts about that?
I think it's media hype. They just sometimes just go overboard. And, I don't stay up late to watch all of the NBA games, but I read that they showed the stats before Kyrie and with Kyrie, and their record is, or their seeding is worse, ranking is worse.
Right.
But, Kyrie now has a tag of like the problem child. So it don't matter where Kyrie goes, that's going to follow him, whether he's deserving of it or not. But it's the media hype to me. What we got another couple weeks before playoffs start. Was it April?
Next week.
The season.
I know the playing games start next week.
April. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So to your question, Fred, I don't want to blame either one, Luka or Kyrie, because I don't think either are to blame. But like if somebody put a gun to my head, say you got to pick one, I would say Kyrie just because of his track record since he left Cleveland. Like it seemed like he's always been that locker room killer, you know what I mean, and kind of destroyed the chemistry on each team that he's been on for whatever reason. And he has his own personal reasons, and he's definitely a unique person, and he brings that to the organization, and he just won't dial that back. But if you want to put blame on anybody, it will be the general manager who pulled the trigger on making that trade. First you got Kyrie. I don't blame you being enticed to get Kyrie because he's definitely one of the top 5 talented players in the league. You know what I mean? But you have to think of it in this aspect. Like you said, they gave away a lot of great role players, a lot of players that's going to do your dirty work.
Right.
A lot of defenders. And then you have to think about your offense. You got 2 players that's ball dominant, that's special players, that's ball dominant. And when you have 2 players like that, it takes time for them to build chemistry and learn how to play with one another. And they just didn't have the time to do it. Yeah, you can look at the stat sheet and they both might drop 30, but it's like, here, you take your turn, then I'm going to take my turn. But when you play like that, guess what? You got 3 other players on the court just standing, not involved in the offense, and they're not contributing. So, it's just it just wasn't a great fit, and you destroyed your depth on your team. Everything that was making them successful before the trade, was just diminished after you made the trade. So you got to blame them for pulling the trigger on that trade.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I can't blame Kyrie or Luka, but if you just look at their track record separately, as individual players, Kyrie's never been a winner in this league outside of his time with LeBron James. He didn't make the playoffs before LeBron got to Cleveland, and he hasn't really done much individually on a team since that time. If you look at the Brooklyn Nets when he was there, Kevin Durant, we all know he kind of carried them along, right? There was spots of Kyrie Irving, but there was some games he didn't show up before he got hurt. And then in Boston, he was holding the team back because when he got hurt, Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown took off. So his track record would allow you to blame him. But in this situation, all of you are correct. There's no way you can blame Kyrie or Luka. Dallas is messy. All right. Yeah. Dallas been messy. All right. When they had a championship roster, and because Mark Cuban is frugal, he didn't re-sign any of those guys. He let Tyson Chandler leave. He let Jason Kidd leave. I think the Matrix stayed, but eventually Vince Carter left. He blew up that roster because he was frugal. And then, okay, let's fast forward to the Luka Doncic era. You have Jalen Brunson there, and because of $10 million, $10 million now, which is a drop in the bucket to a billionaire, you didn't want to give it up. You disrespected him. Now you could have gotten $30 million less than what market value was and kept your whole team intact, which was a Western Conference representative. So you have to blame not only the general manager, but Mark Cuban as well. And I'm going to go a step further and plant this seed right now tonight. If Dallas does not turn this around, Luka Doncic will be wearing another uniform. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Only a matter of time.
It's only the clock is ticking. A player that talented is not putting up with this BS.
Yeah, because he think he's dead. Mark Cuban think he got Dirk Nowitzki, and that's not the case, man.
Nah, not at all. But even in the Dirk era, let's keep it a buck, right? You had the San Antonio Spurs and you had the Los Angeles Lakers and the Sacramento Kings at that point, right? I don't care who Dirk put around him, he was not beating those teams at that point. You weren't beating the Shaq and Kobe Lakers, and you weren't beating the Tim Duncan Spurs. So it's a lot easier to swallow. I'm not competing because, I mean, these are legendary squads. Like, we all have pride as human beings and in our individual, jobs, but we know when something is better. Like, I don't know what he could have put around himself to be better than Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker. So with Luka Doncic, he's looking at the same Western Conference, and y'all keep it real with me. If Luka had X player, he could run the Western Conference, and he knows that. So if I'm Luka and I'm looking at that, I'm like, hey man, get me up out of here. I could take my talents to LA. I could take my talents to New York. I could go anywhere, but be stuck. And Dallas is a great city. Don't get me wrong. I'm a Cowboys fan, but it ain't LA. It ain't Miami, and it damn sure ain't New York. So let's just keep it real.
Good point.
Yeah. I think you need to pair Luka up with somebody that has a.
That's not ball dominant.
Yeah, that like if he play with somebody like Giannis, that you know what I mean, that would be perfect. You know what I mean? But if you pair him with somebody who doesn't have a contrasting style, then it really doesn't work. You know, it worked with Kyrie and LeBron, even though LeBron was ball dominant, his style of play was so much different than Kyrie. They knew how to play off of each other. You know, LeBron athletic, he big, he's strong, he's going to the basket. You know, he can, you know, he let Kyrie do whatever, do his thing, like play your game. But when you have two players shooting step back threes all day, you know what I'm saying? That's not going to work. It's just not.
What's going on with Anthony Davis? Is he hurt, or just was it temporary? Like
no, he's good. As a matter of fact, Mills, I'm glad you brought him up because I wanted to tip my hat to him. Because if you remember last week, I sent y'all a text like Anthony Davis just went down. He's been on the ground for a long time. Here we go again.
That text.
Yeah, and look, we all commented on that. But to his credit, because we criticize him a lot, so we got to give him his props this time. He got up, shook it off, played that game, finished with like 38 points, 17 rebounds, won the game, but not just that, came back the day after I think they played either the next day or the day after.
The day after.
Played against the Rockets, dropped 40, helped them win, and then he hasn't missed a game. Then he played last night, and they got a big win to move him up to sixth place in the Western Conference standings. So you got to tip your hat to Anthony Davis because not only is he balling out, but he's starting to turn the corner in terms of like if you have a little nick or bruise here, learning how to play through those and still be effective. So if he continues to do that, I'm telling you now, you heard it here first. The Lakers could come out the West. They could come out.
Anybody can come. Yeah, you're right,
They could
bro.
come out the West. Like since the trade, they've been one of the best teams in the West. People haven't been seeing that, and that's without LeBron being there a lot of those games.
That is true.
Now they have everybody back. Everyone's healthy. I mean, they balling out, and they the number one rated defensive team in that time span. So you got bona fide offensive players, and now you have outside shooting, and you defending. That's the perfect story.
And then I'm looking at Austin Reeves. My gosh, man.
Austin Reeves a baller.
Yes, he is.
That was a great fight. Hey, man, shit. Shout out to Pelinka, man. Yeah. He's putting that work in. I was very critical of him a couple of years ago, man. But hey, man, he's finding some pieces here and there. He's putting that team together, man. And yes, you guys got a chance to come out the West, just as well as you, Phoenix. You know what I'm saying? My only concern with Phoenix is lack of depth. Yeah. But other than that, like I said, they top heavy in terms of that, in terms of that starting five, though. But and they can.
I don't trust Denver.
No.
I don't trust Memphis.
Nope.
And
I don't trust Sacramento. Sacramento ain't ready yet.
No, definitely don't trust Sacramento. You know what I mean? Definitely don't trust them. Golden State, they trashed this year. They can't win a game on the road. You can't win playoff series if you can't win. They done.
Andrew Wiggins is back, Mills.
Yeah, they done.
It's gonna take Andrew Wiggins a little while to get his legs
back, Mills. He is back.
Get his legs back.
Yeah. And he got to get his conditioning back.
Get his shoes back.
But to answer your question about Anthony Davis, man, hats off to the young brother, man. Like he, as a Lakers fan, go get it, AD. Raise that trade value so we can trade your fucking injured ass.
No, you can't.
Get up out of here.
It's gonna happen. I got a feeling that's gonna happen, Kobe.
A healthy Anthony Davis is arguably the best player in the league.
But how long, Kobe, is he going to be
healthy? Look, it's a gamble because of his injury. It is a gamble. But let's just say let's just say we can see into the future, and we don't foresee any injuries in the next 3 to 5 years.
It's going to happen, man. And it's going to happen next
trading
game.
him for anybody in the
next
league.
week.
I'm not trading him for anybody in the league if he's healthy. Nobody.
Hey, check this out, big bro. I want you to read my list. You need to run for office, bro. You sold that very eloquently. But Anthony Davis treat Lakers fans like we his side chick. He play when he want to play. He come over when he want to come over, man. He play with us, man. And you don't know when Anthony Davis gonna go down. The boy don't even know how to fall. He should. He don't know how to fall.
No, but that's great though. Yeah.
Every time Anthony Davis hit the floor, I'm like, God, get up, please, get up.
It's a scary moment every time. It is. It's a scary moment.
Don't you cringe?
I cringe every single time. Like I watch the games. I'm a Lakers fan, so I watch them. And every time he get fouled, every time he fall on the floor, I go, oh shit. I do it every time. I'm like, oh man, the Lakers done.
and y'all, let's check this out. He sell the smallest contact, like he be on the floor, like writhing in pain. You like, bro, just get up, man, bro. Is it that serious? Come on, bro. He just hit you in it. Like if he get hit in the head, you know, everybody ball. You get hit in the eye or the head sometimes. Anthony Davis take that for 5 possessions. He like, am I good? He's a good man. Check me out, Doc.
Hey, I just got PTSD. Every one of us I know has gotten hit in the head with a basketball before.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's yeah.
Well,
fight somebody.
I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
anywhere, you know.
Yeah. Yep. Straight
I mean,
chest
and we
pass
kept
hit me right here.
playing.
Yeah.
We were stunned like a mug, but we kept playing.
Oh yeah.
It didn't put us out unless you got hit square in your nose and you got to take a minute.
Oh yeah. That's
Yeah.
different.
I got those too.
Me too. Mouth.
Look, hey guys, Charles Barkley, man, he got it in for KD, man. Every time somebody put a microphone in that man's face or whatever, that man is just going at KD left and right, man. I don't know what it is. But I'll tell you this before you guys chime in.
Yeah.
My problem is this. How it would be different if it like Larry Bird was critical, Magic Johnson was critical, or Michael Jordan, you know what I'm saying? People that have been there and done that. Barkley forget that he did the same damn thing or what have you. I mean, all this calling KD a bus drive and stuff like that. First of all, that's not true. And he can't even sit back and realize that, okay, I went from Philadelphia to Phoenix and then from Phoenix to Houston. You did the same damn thing. I don't get it. So I don't know what makes you be the end all, you know what I'm saying, judge, jury of the matter at the end of the day. I don't get that, guys. What's your thoughts?
How long Barkley been out? 20 years? Almost.
Yeah, since 97, 98 when he's tore his Achilles with Houston.
Maybe he forgot. You know, sometimes we don't think about our own shit, you know.
That's true.
Maybe he forgot, you know. But I mean, he was pretty dominant though. Even
he was.
Didn't win no championship, but he was get him in the post. He was dominant.
Right, but KD is dominant. So I'm not understanding. Is this personal?
No, Trey, you know, we talk about it all the time. I know people from Charles's era, right? They felt like they didn't cheat the game. Like when they jumped ship to ship, right? The Philadelphia situation aside, nobody really has come clean on what really was going on. Philly to Phoenix, but he didn't join a contender in Phoenix. You know, he pushed them over the top. It wasn't like they had another Charles Barkley in Phoenix. They had some good players. Kevin Johnson was a good player. But he wasn't like.
I mean, it wasn't Marley. I said Bob Marley.
Role players.
Dan Marley. Dan Marley.
And Kevin Johnson was above a role player, but there were no transcendent players over there, right? So I think he felt like he actually did it the right way for that era. That's why I don't like crossing eras, because in that era, if you were a superstar, you got yourself some really good role players, maybe a Robin, if you were a Batman, and you carried a team. So
he weaseled his way out of Phoenix to Houston, man, to get
up.
He was
old. He was old, Fred. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, he was no different. He was pretty much the same damn age as Durant.
No, all of them was pretty old when he went to Houston.
Yeah, he was old.
You know what I mean? They were all pretty old. But I think, I think with Kevin Durant, I think when he went to Golden State, I think that was such a unique move that he made, considering the fact that, okay, the team that you were on was already a team that was considered a title contender. All right. The year before he left, he was in the Western Conference Final, up 3-1 against the Golden State Warriors. They tricked that game off. And then he leaves the team he's on, who's already a title contender, and go to the team that just beat you in the Western Conference Finals, that won 73 games the year before and was already the favorites to win the title even before you even put your name on the dotted line and say, I'm coming there. So it's kind of like you going somewhere where the outcome is as guaranteed as you can get. Like, everybody knew Golden State was going to win the championship that year. Absolutely. When Kevin Durant was there. There was no one in China. Even LeBron and his Cleveland team, there was no way any team in the NBA could have beat that team. And Kevin Durant got his 2 championships. That's great. He was still Kevin Durant. He still did him. He still was getting 30, 40, doing what he do. However, what we seen before Golden State and what we've seen after Golden State, where he is officially the bus driver, as Charles Barkley would say, it hasn't been the same results. So
that's not his fault.
It is.
It is his fault.
It's
because
not.
He chose to go to Golden State.
Okay.
He chose to go there. So it is his fault.
Okay. He chose
at the end
to go.
of the day, he can say I won championships, and 20 years from now, we probably nobody's going to care. All you're going to see is 2 championships next to his name, unless he win some more, of course. But it was his choice. And he was on a podium maybe a week, 2 weeks before he decided to leave with Russell Westbrook, knowing that, well, we thought him and Russell was like bros, Russell can't stand Golden State, hates him with a passion. He on the podium talking mad trash about him. Kevin Durant said right next to him, he. But now I know what he was laughing at. Yeah, wait the next season, I'm gonna be right with him. So that's what he's thinking the whole time. So I think it's different, Fred. It's different. I know Barkley moved around, and I know LeBron left Cleveland, but you got to remember, they all went to teams that wasn't considered title contenders, that wasn't considered the best team in the NBA. And
they wasn't considered title. So hold up. So LeBron leaving to join up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. You know what I'm saying? That they wasn't automatic title contenders then?
When they got there, yeah, of course, because and they formed together because of the names, of course, automatic. Any team LeBron goes on anyway, I don't care if Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh there or not, they're going to be title contenders. That's going to be the expectations of a team LeBron James is on. But you got to think about it. The year before LeBron went to Miami wasn't in the playoffs. Yeah. You got to remember that. They didn't make the playoffs the year before. And because those 3 players cost so much money, they was top heavy. So they had to fill that roster out with a bunch of players that was on the, the veteran exception. That's what you call it. So they was getting a lot of 5 million, 10 million, 5 million, 10 million players to fill it out. And which actually worked out for them because those guys were effective. They could shoot. They did the dirty work and all that stuff. But there wasn't any, it wasn't guaranteed. It wasn't guaranteed when he went there that, what was going to happen.
Not to mention
Kevin Durant, he went to one of the teams that say maybe top 3 greatest teams ever assembled. That's without him.
Yeah,
that's without him.
Right, but they went to 2 finals, Fred. Without him, they went to 2 finals. The same team pretty much went to 2 finals.
I got you, bro. But here's the thing that you guys are not. Here's the thing that you guys are not thinking about. Kevin Durant was a free agent. Yeah. Okay, he was a free agent. Mm-hmm. He's free to go anywhere he wants.
Absolutely.
Right.
Golden State and that whole organization, that entire brass flew out. They were recruiting him. After they lost, I think after they lost against Cleveland, it was alleged or said that Draymond Green got in the parking lot and called KD and was like, "Hey, can you know what I'm saying? Hey, we need to get you here and stuff like that." And so a week later, they went out recruiting him. They came to him. So they sold him on something.
Right.
So he can't make that decision.
I mean, he can make that decision, but he has to be able to accept our opinions because of the decisions that he made. He gotta accept it. Just think, look, check this example out. Let's say us four had beef with another podcast, right? And every time we see them in the street, we was rumbling. And they was whooping it. They whooped our ass every time we saw them. And then one day, Mo say, "Man, I'm tired of getting my ass beat." and next time we see that podcast team, guess who with them? Mo. Exactly. And Mo helping them whoop our ass. Now, what would you think about Mo if he did that?
Hey man, that was a good analogy, bro.
What would you think about Mo?
It's the truth. And then I'm gonna compound that, Fred. So not only did we take that decision, but we compounded with the Kyrie decision. What in Kyrie's history has shown you that he's the type of player that you can win a championship with? Now you Kevin Durant, you could choose to play with whoever you want to. Again, you're a free agent again. You choose Kyrie Irving. You understand what I mean? So you compound it. I won't say it's a mistake because it's America. We can do whatever we want to do.
Right.
At the end of the day, these are just opinions, right? But it's perceived to be a mistake through your actions because you left. If it wasn't a mistake, you would have stayed. Or if you didn't want to be perceived a different way, you probably would have stayed in Golden State, right? Because they'd have got rid of Draymond Green for you Kevin Durant. So you left to prove something. And this is the guy you choose to attach your legacy to.
Yeah, and then to Mo's point, you remember when he left Golden State to go to Brooklyn, what all the experts were saying? Kevin Durant finally going to win a championship somewhere else where they can say it was because of him. He lifted the team up and took them to the championship. I'm waiting. I haven't seen it yet, and it's like the blind leading the blind. You have two guys that's uber talented, no question about it. But neither one of them have been known as players that you would say are leaders. You know what I mean?
People lead differently, though, right?
You do, but let's just think about the history of the NBA, like the superstar players who are considered leaders. Just think about the type of impact that they not just had on the court, but the impact they had over the entire organization. Think about Jordan. Think about how big his personality was. Think about Kobe, how big his personality was. Shaq, LeBron. Like they smothered the organization. That imprint was all over that organization. They put their foot down in the dirt and said, "Look, this is what I need to win championships.
Okay,
this is how we're going to do." That's what I'm saying. And there's nothing wrong with that, Fred. But sometimes those guys who just want to hoop, no matter how talented they are, it doesn't translate into championships. Sometimes you gotta, if you the man, if you the top dog, if you the leader, you have to hold folks accountable.
You're right.
You know what I mean? He holds himself accountable. He's a gym rat. He works on his game, and you see the product once he out there on the court. He's super. He's great. One of the best players we ever seen ever in this history of the game. However, you just can't let people just run around that organization and do things that's going to destroy your chemistry on the court and is preventing you from winning championship. LeBron ain't let that shit happen with Kyrie. You didn't hear about that shit. That's why Kyrie probably left. This Bama think he my daddy. You know what I'm saying? That's why he left. But LeBron don't let that shit happen. Not in his house. Kobe
what you got, Mill?
Don't let that happen. Not in his house.
No, I ain't got nothing. I don't really start watching until
the playoffs.
Playoffs. I ain't got nothing.
I mean, he honestly, in my opinion, Fred, I don't think he should have ever left Oklahoma City.
He made a comment about that the other day when they played them, and he was basically admiring the current roster that they have. And basically saying that if I had this, you know what I'm saying? You
did. You
had the most talented roster in the NBA. You all were young, and you could
like he says, basically, he was basically saying like 6'8", 6'9", that can handle the ball, that can play multiple positions and stuff like that. So
you had 3 Hall of Fame, future Hall of
no,
Famers.
they got rid of James Harden before the bull crap.
And
Mills, get us on out of here.
That was a bad move by the organization by investing in Ibaka over James Harden.
Yeah, that's where they messed. They fumbled the bag on that big time because James Harden over $3 million, bro. So that was the start of it at the end of the day. So it is what it is.
But Kevin Durant still can win a championship this season because guess what? You got Chris Paul there. He takes over the leadership responsibilities.
Okay. And I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to let Mills get us on out here. I don't think as much as I want them to win this year, I don't see it because, again, my concern with Phoenix is lack of depth. I do know when playoffs start, the rotation shortens up anyway, and you can stagger their minutes and stuff like that. But I don't see it this year, possibly next year when they'll be able to address their roster, you know what I'm saying, a lot more. But we'll see.
Yeah, Kevin Durant.
I mean, I'm going with them.
Kevin Durant and Booker. You got Ayton down low. Mm-hmm. That trio right there is amazing. And then you got Chris Paul there at the point to bring everything together. And he's a great leader. And then Coach Monty is an excellent coach.
He is excellent X's and O's and stuff like that. Let's just say, despite injury. So
I would like to see an all-star game where Caitlin Clark plays with the NBA with the fellas.
The NBA players?
She ran the point with some NBA fellas. I think she could hang. I think she's quick enough.
She's a sophomore?
She's a junior.
She's a junior. I'm just saying that's where my mind just went out. Whatever. Look,
a regular. I mean, if it's like an all-star, they're not taking it serious and stuff like that. But if you take
I think she would be good. Anyway, whatever. Shout out to Angel Reese.
Yeah, man, definitely. Shout out
Angel Reese mom played for Maryland too, y'all.
Yeah. I didn't even know that. I know a brother played for him.
Mike played for Maryland. He played basketball too. I feel like he was in a tournament. I think he played for Maryland.
Yep.
Yeah. Maryland should be kicking himself in the ass. They got a superstar player at LSU, a superstar player at Virginia Tech that left their program. Them two,
and she couldn't even play, and she couldn't even get off the bench at Virginia Tech. So she should have stayed in Maryland.
Yeah, just thinking both of them stayed at Maryland.
Yeah,
we be talking about Maryland winning the national title.
Yeah, but I give credit. I give credit to Brenda Freeze for, like I said, getting all those, like I said, those transfers and stuff like that, putting a team of 9, 10 together that don't even know each other like that to get to the Elite Eight. I give you credit in terms of that, but you're right, man. She got to get better. I don't know what's going on in Maryland. It's too many. This is not the only issue I had with her in terms of transfers. She had transfers before with Destiny Slocum and other players. So I don't know what's going on with that, man. I don't know if it's an NIL issue or what.
But I say this before Mills get us out of here. I was talking to somebody last night that kind of gave me the inside scoop, at least on Angel Reese. She left because, from what I understand, they wouldn't let her really get loose and do her thing in Maryland. So she wanted to go somewhere where she could spread her wings. And this is coming from somebody who's around her like every day.
Man, she was averaging like almost a double. She was averaging like 20 and 10. It's the same thing she's putting up with. She's get like more numbers, you know what I'm saying, statistically with LSU, but she was getting off at Maryland.
What about her personality though? I mean, like, could she be herself? You know, because Kim Mulkey let her be herself
with the team, like,
right? You know.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. You're right, man. You're right. I guess we'll talk about that some other time. What have you? Right, man. Yeah. Hey, Mills, go and get us on out of here, huh?
Thank y'all for dinner last week. That was great. See y'all next week on the No Cap Sports Show. We will be here, same bat time, same bat channel. All you need to do is click and subscribe. Let's get our views up. And we good. Man. We funny. We all of the things. So check us out next week, y'all. Peace.
Good night. It's a parade inside my city, yeah.
There are 4 fouls on the play. That's why it took so long. Running into the kicker, number 34 in the receiving team. Holding. Authentic. Number 90.